Hey guys, Jenkins here, and I am bringing you a video analyzing the iceice Wings Gaming Pudge from the International 6 Grand Finals Game 1 versus DC. And while they didn't win this game, I still think it's an interesting game to look at how to play Pudge from a 4 to 5 roll position where you're pretty much going to be on the back foot no matter what, playing from behind. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. First and foremost, if I'm iceice and I know I'm playing a 4 to 5 roll Pudge in this game, something that I would like to do as soon as the draft finishes and pre-horn is that I would like to take a quick look at the enemy team and my team and see what it is that I can do to provide the most utility for my team in a typical team fight. So I see 3 possible options, 3 ideal options for how the Pudge should perform this game. The first one is to actually initiate the fights, and I think it's very important in this game because the Storm, Slaughter, and Silencer very high damage dealing cores, very high disable. If he can get a hook on any of these heroes on the DC lineup, it's very likely that they will die before the fight starts, and it'll turn into a 4v5, which usually is a one-team fight. So that's a very important role for him this game. The second role that I see here is that if DC gets the initiation with the Faceless Void Chrono, Pudge can save the hero who gets chronoed from all of the damage coming from the DC lineup. And it's of the utmost importance this game because DC has 3 heroes in the Timber, the Caudle, and the Sky that all have ground targeted high damage nukes. So if they waste those abilities on somebody in the Chrono and iceice just throws a quick hook in there and pulls them out, DC is not going to have a Chronosphere. They're not going to have the cooldowns on those abilities that they used in the Chrono, and Wings can back off and they can re-engage with Chrono being down. So that's another big role for him this game. However, if he cannot get the angle on the Faceless Void Chronosphere, another possible option here, and arguably a better option in a lot of cases, would be to hook the Keeper the Light and just cover the Chrono with something like a Global Silence or with the Relocate. Because the Caudle, with the Blinding Light, he can totally hinder the damage coming from the Wings lineup. These 3 cores, they all require right clicks to do their damage. So Pudge, if he hooks the Caudle, there's nothing the Caudle can really do other than run away, and the Caudle's very slow and also has nothing in his skill set for escaping a Pudge. At any point in the game, iceice can probably solo kill the Caudle. The other heroes, not so much, but the Caudle, for sure. So that's a third very important role for him this game. Here we are, 1 minute and 29 seconds pre-horn, and everybody is just zoned in, and it's now time for iceice to decide what his starting items are. While it is pretty common for Pudges to start with either a Windlace or Boots, just to have the early roaming potential on mid, or the off lane with Rot, he can't go for that this game, because he's got a Wisp support buddy. It's very typical for Wisps to rush a bottle, so the Wisp is going to need to save almost all of his gold from the start, and Pudge is going to need to buy all the support items, which is okay. Pudge is decent at just doing the typical support thing, getting pulls up and rushing the Boots and then roaming later, so that's okay for him. So as you can see here, he buys a courier, buys wards. I believe he even pulls tangos later. Sends himself sentries. So this is okay. He's sacrificing himself. Pudge is actually a decent hero to do this on because he can get very good levels in the jungle by pulling this camp to here or by just doing the typical support pulling. Or you can also pull the off lane. There's many things you can do. So I think Pudge is actually decent for this, and iceice has chosen to take that route this game. Here we are, 7 seconds before the horn, and the runes haven't spawned yet, but DC is preparing to try and contest this top rune, and Wings is defending it. As you can see here, iceice has not skilled anything yet, possibly anticipating that there might be a skirmish up here. And usually what you want to do is start with Meat Hook, so that way you can do some nifty little pulls to the middle lane, or you can hook somebody up here and kill them. But iceice, being the smart player he is, he's anticipating that DC is quite possibly contesting this, holding the Rot. Rot is better for level 1 engagements, although it does hinder you in the sense that you cannot get your own farm up as much in the early game. It can allow you to get a quick early first blood for your team. So as you see here, he doesn't want to skill anything yet because he wants to be greedy if he can. But DC forces his hand. Still doesn't skill it. Blink gets focused. Big Caudle Blast comes through. And he skills it. He says, I'm going for this. I'm killing this Void. Maybe his team calls for him to back off. Maybe he realizes it's just a lost cause. But now he's locked into Rot, which is okay because you can just do pulls up here without Meat Hook. That's totally fine. However, he probably would have liked to go for the Meat Hook, but this is something that's very, very typical that happens, is that your hand gets forced in a level 1 engagement and you have to get Rod. It's no big deal, because it's not like level 2, it takes infinite time to get. At this point, we are at 4 minutes and 29 seconds into the game. Iceice is finally level 2. He's got his meat hook to work with. He's got the raw to work with. And in most games, this would open up a significant amount of options for you in the game. However, some of those scenarios are eliminated in this game. For example, he could pull this camp by standing here and then throwing a hook, walking into the creep wave. And this would deny Weehaw a lot of experience mid and give Blink on the Storm quite a significant boost in XP. But unfortunately for Pudge, this camp would just demolish the whole creep wave because it's stacked, and the Pudge wouldn't get very good experience doing this, so this isn't worth it for him. Alternatively, he could go help out the off lane by pulling this to this camp to here, but the Wisp is already helping out the off lane, so the Slardar is getting a decent amount, so this would just be too big of an investment to really try to shut down a Timber like this, because he would just go jungle anyway. And the third and final option for him in this game would normally be to just run at and gank mid. Unfortunate thing about aggressive tri-lane, and iceice knows this, is that they're going to have information on this lane. They're going to know when Pudge is missing. It's a pretty obvious hero to go missing of what he's doing. Pretty obvious that he can't necessarily gank the Timber because the Timber chain makes it very hard for to chase him down with Rot. So the lane that he'd be ganking is mid, and they actually have a ward here scouting out. Iceice doesn't know where the ward is in particular, but he's going to know that they have one, because it's very typical of aggressive tri-lanes to do something like this. So as you can see here, he kind of just runs into his own death. And, I mean, he is dying here, but this is actually alright, because this dude here is the bread and butter. This is the guy that he's trying to protect, and he's making space for him. So while he didn't necessarily need to die, it's just a good thing that this Ogre rotation only killed the Pudge and not the Silencer. Here we are at 11 minutes and 18 seconds into the game, and iceice has decided to head down here to the bottom lane. And keep in mind, he's been in fog for quite some amount of time, so the enemy team has no clue where he is. He's level 6 now. He's at his power peak, presumably for the entire game, being a support Pudge. And his first gank is the Timbersaw. So unfortunately, just based on the way Pudge functions, is he has one opportunity at this, one opportunity to hit this hook, and if he misses it, it's very likely that Timber's going to play back. So we can see here, Slardar has the amplification on the Timber, and he's just going for the quick hook. He tries to go for the angle, he doesn't get it, and Timber immediately backs off. So it's a bit of a missed hook, which is, you know, you didn't get the kill, so he's not super happy about that. But it makes Timber play very far back. He's now jungling. Slardar gets total free farm. He almost has his Blink Dagger, and this is a very important factor of Pudge, is to just keep pressure on the lanes. So running around to lanes, throwing hooks. If you hit them, you hit them. You miss them, you miss them, you know. I'm not going to say that getting kills isn't valuable, but if you don't get kills, it's not the biggest deal, because you're still applying pressure on the map. You're still creating the Pudge effect, keeping everybody farming less, because they're just so scared of the hooks coming in from the fog. This is a really nice play that iceice did at 15 minutes and 24 seconds into the game, where he's waiting for Resolution to go for the last hit on this siege creep. And as you can see, this tower hit is coming in. It's about to barely just hit this catapult here, and Resolution's swinging to try and get the last hit with the Quelling Blade. Blink is waiting in the wings, ready to kill Resolution if the hook lands. They have a ward over here, so they see that there's no backup here. Ogre is here, but they don't actually see that. So they think there's no backup. They have a sentry here, so they know there's no lane ward, and this is not a bait. So presumably this is pretty free kill on the Void if they actually manage to land this hook. So as you can see here, he goes for the timing. Unfortunately, the RNG on the tower resulted in Resolution not actually getting the last hit, so the catapult did not die, and the hook was missed. But it's still a really nice play. It makes them play back, so it's honestly not that bad. I think it's a really important play because the higher skill you get, the better people get at dodging hooks. So doing little things like that is just really nice for catching people off guard. One final play that I wanted to put in here, minus the kind of game-ending team fight, is at 18 minutes and 17 seconds. And it's not a particularly spectacular play. It's kind of the complete opposite. Because I just wanted to mention that Pudge is a hero that just by his nature is very silly. You get yourself into some silly situations, and if you can't have fun with it, it's really hard to maintain your confidence and hit those skill shots that you need to have confidence to hit. So this is just kind of showing that even one of the the best Pudges in the world, the TI winning Pudge. This dude got himself into a kind of wonky, silly situation here that you can just kind of laugh. So here you have the team fight happening. They're kind of really in too deep. He's waiting here to try to land a hook. His camera's down here. So he actually hooks the creep wave by accident. And then he gets stuck. Storm's just like, I'm out of here. And he's just boned in here trying to rot himself to death. And yeah, once again, just a silly little situation you can get yourself caught in. It's just how Pudge works. You can't let it rattle you, and I really doubt that something like this would rattle somebody like iceice. So he's just going to keep on trucking and keep trying to hit those hooks. At 21 minutes and 48 seconds, we have what I would consider the beginning of the end for Wings in this game. It's kind of the team fight that swung the momentum hugely into DC's favor this game, and they didn't really come back from this at this point. So they're going for a smoke here. The Wisp has a smoke. They take these 4 heroes and they head into the Roche pit. The Pudge, however, does not head into the Roche pit. The Wisp needs to be there because he's buffing the dude's hidden Roche. But Pudge, he's an awful right clicker on Roche, so he goes and he places a ward. DC anticipates this Roche and walks directly into iceice, which scares him and he runs this way. Unfortunately, he's split from his team, so he can't actually save from the Chrono right now, despite wanting to do that really badly. And this nice ward helps him catch out Blink here. Mood is a really nice illusion block on the save, on the hook save for Silencer, and the relocate is a little late. So, very unfortunate situation there, but very good play from DC. One little note here is that Pudge could actually probably save the Wisp if he timed the hook so that the relocate went off during the hook, but it's kind of a glitch, so not a lot of people know that that's the thing. So now they're in salvage mode. They're trying to possibly hit a nice hook on somebody and steal the Aegis with Storm. But really nice ward placed here by the Keeper of the Light. Sets up for a beautiful Chrono. And this is... they don't really recover from this. That's 5 dead and Storm died twice. And despite losing this game, I still think this is a really nice game to look to see how to learn how to play Pudge at a high level, because iceice did do what he was supposed to this game. He created pressure in the lanes. He fished for hooks. Unfortunately, a lot of them were missed, but that's just how Pudge is. You have to accept that. If you're picking a hero, it's a risk. It's an RNG-based hero. I still think that there's a lot to learn from this game, and I hope this helped people.